Talking real estate here, Champions Real Estate Team at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. So we're jumping on early today. So getting a good start on the day. Got a busy day here coming up. But first off, start our quick tip. So our quick tip this week is kind of looking at verifying information that you may see on the multiple listing service or all those third-party websites. That means school, what school district it may be in, what school it's actually going to. As agents, we try to do our best to verify the information, but that's ultimately up to you, the home buyer, home seller, to make sure that if you want a specific school, to call that school district. I know recently, in the last year or so, with the new subdivisions going in, out in Western Douglas County, kind of the Gretna, Elkhorns, Papillion areas. So you want to make sure you verify, the address with that specific school district and to know what elementary, high school, middle school, those type of things. So that's kind of our quick tip. If that's important to you, make sure you verify that yourself, because obviously you don't want to rely on them. Your agents are going to do their best job to get that correct information to you, but make sure it's your responsibility. I know in our paragraph in the purchase contract, it does state that to make sure that you personally verify that information if that's important to you. So quick tip, fairly simple. Call the school districts, figure out which school versus the address. I know in Bellbrook, subdivision of 192nd and Harrison Street, basically in that same neighborhood, you have some that go to Gretna, and across the street, your neighbor across the street is in Millard. So it really depends on what side of the street you are in for that thing. So there are certain areas, there's some school districts or houses in the Bellevue area you think would be in Bellevue, but they're in Omaha. The rumor has it is that basically the landowner, when they sold that to the development, was able to choose which school district that they wanted their land to go to. Not sure how much truth there is to that, but that's what I've heard. But anyways, so let's jump straight into our graphics for the week. So similar to last week, down just a little bit. I pulled the numbers this morning. So if I pull them later in the day, the numbers may vary a little bit. But we're at 516 new listings over the last week, 410 accepted contracts this last week. One of those is actually one for my clients. So congratulations to them. They're super excited to get one. We've written a handful of contracts and finally got one. So that's awesome for them. So new homeowners, congratulations to them. 414 of them as of this morning, about an hour or so ago. But yeah, I think we're still seeing that one in, one out activity going. There's still a lot of houses coming on the market, I feel. I'm actually getting pictures taken at a new listing today at 1:00 out at Quail Run. It's a split entry, awesome, no rear neighbors. So I'll have more information on that coming up, but that's going to be going live on Friday. So, and then I got another listing next week coming up off 120th and Center, right by the Winchell's Donuts. I guess depends on if you like Winchell's or Krispy Kreme. So anyways, probably maybe a good thing or a bad thing if you live right next door to those. But yeah, so that's kind of the market update for the street view. Let's look at the 30,000 foot view here. What's the big picture? So we got 2,328 active listings in the Omaha and Lincoln MLS. So perspective, when I got my license 15 years ago, we had about 5,500, and that was just in the Omaha MLS. That wasn't in Lincoln because we just combined, I believe it was 2019. I think it was, we combined Omaha and Lincoln as one MLS. So we don't have a lot of listings comparative when I first got started in 2008, but 1,368 in the Douglas Sarpy County. So narrowing that down into the Omaha Metro. We had 543 existing homes. So that's basically anywhere from $9,000 house up to a couple $1 million house. So not very many existing homes. And as we've kind of been hovering around that 500 number. And then our new construction went up. I think that was at like 780 or so last week. And we're up of, what would that be, 20 to 60 listings, 60 to 40 listings on that for the new construction. So some of those houses are getting done, getting put on the market, some of those spec homes and things of that sort. So months of inventory, still at that 1.8. We've been there, hovering there for a while. Our average sold price went up $2,000 from the previous week. So we're jumping up about at least $1,000 to $2,000 almost every single week. If I went back and looked at the numbers. So I think, and when we talk about, the market's going to cool down and things of that sort, I don't necessarily see it. We talk about it every week. It's simple supply and demand that's out there. So, but anyways, that's kind of our 30,000 foot view. Let's jump in with Russ. I know last week we had numbers come out of the feds and things we talked about last week, but any new news out there in the mortgage world? So
we'll be watching the non-farm payroll report, which comes out on the first Friday of every month to determine what direction we're seeing the economy moving. We're expecting that we're going to start seeing some cracks at some point in time here in jobs, and that will be probably the last shoe to fall mark before we see mortgage rates start to move downwards as inflation continues to improve. So rates have been holding relatively steady over the last week. They're up just a little bit from where they were 3 weeks ago, mainly because there wasn't a lot of economic data. And in the absence of economic data, the markets listen to the Fed governors, which sometimes have a tendency to shove their foot way into their mouth. And so we're seeing a little bit of concern there in the markets with what the Fed is saying. Although next week will be fairly active with data, so we could see some improvements next week. We are, of course, seeing a lot of folks being willing to pay points right now to buy down the rate. And because the markets, when we talk about the markets, I'm talking about the investment markets, are expecting that we'll see a slowdown. And so they're expecting a lot of these loans will prepay with refinances and to try to lower the rates next year. And so paying points right now does make a lot, give you a lot of improvement in mortgage rates compared to not paying points. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend it in all cases, because if you were to take that amount you're paying in points and use it next year to pay for the refinance, you likely would have paid less overall in interest between now and then than what the cost of your refinance will be. But we also are seeing a few investors that are offering some subsidies to help you buy down the rates. One in particular, and feel free to give me a call, be happy to walk you through it, is most of these subsidy programs are based upon area median income. And so if your area median income, in this case for Nebraska, for Douglas, Sarpy County, and also Pottawatomie County on the Iowa side and Lancaster, is about $87,000. So if you're buying a home and your income is less than about $87,000, you may be able to get a subsidy of up to 2% of the price of the home to help either cover your closing cost or to buy down that interest rate by paying points, or to help cover some of your closing costs. So if you'd like more information on that, don't hesitate to give us a call. But generally speaking, Mark, there's nothing new we're seeing in the mortgage market other than first timers are still having some struggles winning bids, but we are seeing some improvements there. We are seeing some cracks.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm breaking up or you're breaking up just a little bit. So kind of what he was saying, if it didn't come through clear, basically there's some subsidies out there for depending on your median income. Kind of he was touching on it, basically around 87,000. If you're below that, you may have some help, grants or things of that sort that you can apply for. Some of those require a little bit of education courses on the home buying process and things of that sort from that institution that you may be getting that grant from. But hey, it's well worth it in that side, that if you can get, some, a little bit of help on your down payment, anything to that sort, that's always a good thing. So those are some things that when we talk about what you would look at first, looking at houses or getting your mortgage and stuff, talking to a lender is kind of one of the first things I tell any of my clients to do, is to get that information so that you know where you're at. Whether you're thinking about buying a house in the next year, next 6 months, or even just kind of it's in the back of your mind, talk to a lender. It's not going to hurt, understanding, okay, where's your credit at? Where's your income at? What's your, savings, all that. Where's your debt at? Can we pay that off? Get a game plan so that you can be ready maybe next spring or something like that. Or if you can get ready in the fall when everyone else kind of takes a break, you can, and if you can kind of apply for some of those grants or some of those subsidies out there, that would be a very huge advantage for you, rather than all of a sudden you start looking at houses. Oh, we love this house, we want to get in there. And all of a sudden you're calling me going, who do we talk to? Oh, we talk to Russ. And then we're trying to cram it in and get a contract written in the next week. Then you feel rushed. You don't feel comfortable with the decision possibly that you're making. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? I think getting that start early is really going to help through that process. So, but that's kind of all I had for today. So going to have a new listing going up. So check out our Champions Real Estate Team Facebook page. That listing will be live on Friday. It's over in Quail Run, 168th and Maple area. Split entry, great home. Then I'll have another split entry kind of over 120th and Center. Our timetable is next week, barring anything changes, house getting clean, carpets, all that kind of fun stuff. Next week. So barring all that stuff's on schedule, we're ready to rock. But if you have any questions, happy to help you. 402-672-7670. And if you want to get that lending information and get a game plan together, give Russ a holler, 290-8936. And we will talk to everybody next week. And next following week's 4th of July. I keep thinking this week's 4th of July. But anyways, have a good one. And